Welcome back to Independent Blazers. I am Dan.
I'm Joe.
Today we are going to talk about the different visas you can get in Thailand. But before we do that, Joe, tell them.
Please like, subscribe, share, bang the notification button. Share this video with your friends, with your family. Please get us out there. We would really appreciate it. And with that being said, Dan, of course, Dan, as you know, visas are crucial for anyone planning to visit, live, or work in Thailand. Hey, Dan, did you know over 40,000 people were blacklisted from Thailand in 2023 alone due to visa overstays and violations?
Right. Did I know that? No, I didn't know the exact number, but yes, lots of people get blacklisted from Thailand, not just for visa overstays, but because they decide to break the law here, or they just engage in really disrespectful behavior. There are ways to do it, but anyway. But there are different types of visas, by the way. If you're staying, if you're from a Western country, or a developed country, such as Japan or Singapore or Taiwan, you do not need a visa if you're staying here for only a limited amount of time.
Well, Dan, a couple of things. Do you realize that there are an increasing number of young expats, and they're known as the digital nomads here in Thailand? A lot of the younger generation are working from their computer. Now, this video, Independent Blazers, is going to cover all major types of visas. We're going to cover them for you here that are available as of the recording of this video and this year in 2024. So, we're going to talk about the application process and tips for securing the right kind of visa. And everyone has different needs. So, Dan, would you like to start off with the first type of visa?
Well, I could mention the single entry, which is not tourist visa. As of right now, they're giving 60 days for free if you come from certain countries. And usually, though, if you want to stay 60 days to 90 days, you'd require a tourist visa. They used to be easy to get from an embassy or consulate abroad, but they've really tightened up in recent years. So if you plan to stay in Thailand on a tourist visa, you're going to have to give them things like a bank. You have to give the Thai embassy stuff like a bank statement and all, so they know that you have sufficient funds to support yourself while you're here in the country.
Well, Thailand did recently tighten the proof of funds requirement. So, because in the past there were folks providing falsified bank statements. So, the tourist visa, Dan, do you have any extensive experience in this, the tourist visas in the past?
I do. In fact, in late 2010, right before I came here to move back, I got very lucky and they gave me a 9-month tourist visa, but that was because of Thailand was going through turbulent times at the time. I'm not going to comment too much on what was happening, but the point was I was able to live on a tourist visa for a number of months and study here, and it was study Thai language for a bit.
Now, many countries you can get a non-exempt, like from America. You buy your ticket before you come to Thailand. As you arrive, you go through immigration, and as of now, they'll give you a 60-day non-exemption. Now, in some cases, sometimes immigration may ask you for your round trip ticket, your departure. I haven't seen it done in all cases, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Right. It depends on how things are at the time, depends if they need tourists or not, and also depends on what kind of tourists are coming. Among the reasons why they clamped down and started enforcing bank statements is because so many Westerners were coming here as what they call bag packers.
Now,
as in they would go and they would bum around and ask people for money on the streets. Wait a minute,
Right. I did see, this is years back. This is a few years back. I was coming in. The person in front of me, they wanted to see if they had money to come in. I don't remember what nationality they were, where they were from, but this person pulled out, if I remember correctly, 20 or 30,000 baht. Where immigration actually wanted to see it. Now, sometimes, folks, look, never say nothing bad about immigration. Sometimes, though, they may ask you for something like that. Now, it also depends on the country. Where are you coming from? Where are you from? A lot of countries have an exemption coming in, where all they have to do is show their ticket, and you'll get 60 days on the spot. Now, if you're going to be on a tourist visa, I believe you're allowed to leave and enter the country twice in one calendar year. I believe twice. Some like you can fly if you're on a tourist visa. For example, you do your 60 days. Maybe you get another 30 days, right? After the initial 60, 30 or 60 days, you fly out, you fly back in. Just say, for example, you do another 3 months. You fly out, you fly. That's twice in a year. Say you try doing that a third time, immigration may say something to you. So you have to be careful with the tourist visa. And again, sometimes each immigration official is different. Okay? And again, there's different requirements for different countries. Now, I'll tell a quick story. I'm not going to mention this individual on air. A guy I know, a good friend of mine, he was coming into the airport and he had too many tourist visas and basically said, look, they blacklisted him. And again, some of you out there might think, well, why they do? Again, I wasn't there. I talked to the guy. I don't think he would lie to me. The guy's never lied to me. He's in his home country now. We still talk. But he had too many tourist visas, and they wanted to know what he was doing here, and if he was working or not. And so remember, do not work on a tourist visa. I'll throw that tip. You get caught, it won't be a good thing.
I mean, you could get blacklisted for up to 5 years if you're caught doing that. Not permanently, but still.
So, Dan, what about visa on arrival, Dan? What can you tell us about that one? Visas on arrival.
Yes, certain countries, often poor countries, from poor parts of Asia, several African nations as well, can arrive and buy a visa at the airport. That's only 15 days.
Yeah. And
But
go ahead. In a lot of cases, you gotta have obviously your passport. Dan? Do they gotta show a confirmed return ticket?
yes, they do, because if they don't, they will be denied. They're likely to be denied entry. And a lot of people come here illegally to work. People of all walks of life and from a variety of countries. And so, yeah, that's
So Dan, have they ever asked you about proof of accommodations? Have you ever heard, or has anyone ever told you they wanted to know about your hotel or your accommodations with this particular visa?
well, I never got a visa on arrival myself, but
Me neither. But I've heard different stories. I was wondering maybe if you knew somebody. I heard one guy tell me they wouldn't let him in until he showed proof of his accommodation. So again, it all depends on the immigration official too. So
it depends on the immigration official and how the laws are at the time, how the overall attitudes are. There were times a customs officer did ask me where I'd be staying, but he said it pretty politely and casually. And I told him I didn't have a reservation there yet, but I was intending to go there.
And folks, make sure you have your documents ready in advance, because usually you come in, especially Salami Bay Airport, you come in there, especially coming to Bangkok. The lines can be long, it can be crowded, so it's good to have your passport, have your documents out. So Dan, what can you tell us, Dan, about the non-immigrant visa, non-immigrant B visa?
Okay, the non-immigrant B visa is what one typically gets if they're going to work or start a business here. If you're going to work for a company, though, you also need a work permit, and that can take a bit of time. But
Yes.
once you have the non-immigrant B, you're eligible to work. But you need to be, if you're working for a company, you need to be represented. It's a ton of paperwork. I did it last year. I flew to Laos, and I had to wait a while to get an appointment at the embassy in Vientiane, of the Thai embassy in Vientiane. Paperwork was a nightmare.
Well, the Thai government has been cracking down on people working illegally. In a lot of cases, it results in deportation. And deportation, like you said, can be at least 5 years in a lot of cases. 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Dan, I would say make sure you have that work permit. And I know it's a tough law, but make sure.
Yeah. If you are working, a work permit's the best way to go. And believe me, there are even times you might get harassed and They look at your passport. They say they see a non-B visa, but they don't see a work permit. Yeah, have a copy of your work permit at least.
Keep in mind, some companies will pay for that work permit. And I've seen some companies, they'll give you the work permit, but you got to pay for it yourself. Every company is different. For those, especially for those of you that want to, usually that you want to be teachers, be careful. Most of the time, if you get a job in an international school, they'll take care of it for you. But make sure you have a copy of your degree, your legit degree, that is legit.
And that's something else I wanted to mention. You're going to have to notarize your documents. If you want to get a decent job, you need to have your documents notarized, and that is a bureaucratic nightmare.
Yes.
I recommend getting them notarized at the Thai embassy in your home country before you come here, because it's almost impossible to do here. I know, I've tried it.
Especially if you're going to teach. Again, I'm not an expert on it. I've taught here. But to be honest with you, I've taught in Thai schools, and the particular company got the work permit for me. So they did it. I just had to show up. They helped me with the paperwork. The process was smooth. Department of Labor. But a lot of times, especially degrees, the international school will want you to get it notarized from your embassy, and they'll want proof from the university. These fake degrees are going away. In the past, people used a lot of fake degrees to teach, but times are changing. The Thai government is starting to stomp that out. Now, maybe people are getting away with it.
Yeah. No, one thing is wrong, though. No, don't get it at your embassy here in Thailand anymore. They don't do that.
Right. Okay.
That's a thing of the past. I want to warn you now, because I know I did. At first, I went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They told me I needed to go to my embassy. So I went to my embassy. I went to the U.S. Embassy, and they said, no, we don't do that anymore. I said, what do you mean? I was told directly from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that you do. They said no. Then I went back to the Ministry, and I had them write me a note or something. Then I went back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They still refused it.
All right, well, I'm glad you done. Thanks for telling me that. So, Dan, let's move on to the next visa. Non-immigrant ED visa, an education visa. And this visa is for students or those taking courses, like Thai language courses, attending universities. Dan, tell us about this one.
Okay, this is the one I lived off for many years. The first time around, I was taking Thai classes, excuse me, at a language school. But later on, I got accepted into one university, and they provide a 1-year ED visa. By the way, it's not unconditional. You have to be enrolled in a certain amount of credits each term. So those who want to go and just coast, no, I can't do that. At the same time, it's very useful. It's much easier to do, but you cannot work if you have an EDU visa.
Dan, let me ask you a question about you. You're more of an expert on the ED visa. Have you heard of cases, Dan, where there have been cases that students who are on the education visa, have you ever heard of an incident of students being deported for not attending class regularly?
I've heard rumors here and there, but I couldn't really confirm it. I didn't see it with my own eyes. I just know that's a consequence if they really want to crack down. But yes, if you don't attend classes, if you're not enrolled in a certain amount of classes or you don't attend, they can easily report you to immigration.
Well, the reason I asked that question is I've heard rumors of students who didn't attend class. I've heard rumors of some being deported. Again, I'm not saying I know that firsthand, but I've just heard rumors from other people. I was just curious because I know you've had the education visa, so I was just wondering if you've heard that or have you known someone that happened to?
I didn't know them directly. I did not know them directly, so like I said, I can't listen to all rumors though. But something else that did happen, I want to warn people. When I transferred, when I was doing my master's class, because I had enough edu visas, I was coming back from a visa run in Myanmar to get a new one. They pulled me aside and they questioned me big. Questioned me very clearly, and I'm thinking, well, what am I doing? They had to look at all of my documents, and let's just say I had to be extra polite because I know they're considering rejecting me. And even if it says, there was even a big sign at the desk saying, having a valid visa does not guarantee you will be allowed into the kingdom, meaning Thailand. And so the fact is, Yeah, even with a visa, they can turn you away.
They have the power. Immigration's powerful. That's why the folks that you don't mess with immigration here. That's an institution you do not want to mess with. And the best thing, and again, what I can say is make sure the institution you are attending is accredited. The Thai government recognizes that institution. Make
Hmm.
sure you have your documentation for that institution. For example, make sure you have proof of enrollment, your institution documents. And look, a legit university, for example, they're going to help you with that education visa. So,
Yes, yeah, that's right.
this
And by the way, Joe, can you tell our viewers about the non-immigrant O visa?
Well, this is a dependent slash retirement visa, and okay, dependent visa for spouses, children, or other dependents of Thai citizens, non-immigrant visa holders, such as maybe if you're going to be a marriage certificate requirements, marriage certificate. So if you're married, you can get this visa. Now I'm single at the moment, so I do know folks that are married and have this visa. A lot of the times, the requirements are 400,000 baht in the bank. You also need your birth certificate, the proof of relationship, and once again, let me say this: the marriage certificate, birth certificate, proof of relationship. The application process. A lot of times, maybe if you're coming in wherever country you're coming from, you can do it ahead of time. In some instances, there's a Thai consulate in America. I believe there's one in New York and Los Angeles, and I think San Francisco. Or
By the way,
you can
I know this is in
go
the
ahead.
middle, but we are only giving suggestions and tips. We are not trying to give legal advice. We're not
Yes.
lawyers.
Yes. Again, we're not, good point, Dan. We're not going to give you legal advice. We're just going off of our experience and people we know. We don't guarantee anything. We're not lawyers or anything like that. We're just trying to be helpful to you. That's it. So, again, these are just from personal experience. So, yes, the not now. This one I know pretty well, the retirement visa. For those over 50 years old or older with financial stability. Okay, you want to retire, you're 50 or above. Now, with this visa, okay, there's a couple of ways to go about this visa. Number one, you can have 800,000 baht in a Thai bank. It must be in that bank 3 months prior and 3 months after, I believe. Okay, don't quote me on it, folks. It's either 2 months prior or 3 months prior. But either way, you have to have 800,000 sitting in a Thai bank.
800,000 baht. What's
Eight
that mean?
hundred thousand baht. I guess that's $22,000 or $25,000, depending on the exchange rate. I'm going by U.S. money, USD. Okay, it's either 2 or 3 months before and a couple months after, I believe. Now, what some people do, okay, if you have a pension, maybe you don't want to keep that much money in Thailand, which is understandable. If you have a pension, okay, and I'm going off USD here, you must be at least, I would say, $2,300 a month. And I would say that could come out to be like 75,000 baht a month. Don't quote me exactly. You have to show that pension going in to a Thai bank. For example, if you have Bangkok Bank, show it going in there. Have 12 months worth of bank statements to show to immigration. And again, now some people may say, Joe, no, this isn't true. You can maybe immigration will take your U.S. bank statements to show you a pension. But again, I've done it the other way with money in the bank. That's how I've done it. Okay. Now, some cases they've taken the documentation from a U.S. bank with some friends of mine. But remember, it's at the discretion of immigration. Okay.
Hmm. And
And
by the
one
way,
thing, go.
yeah, in other words, don't go in just because you have a valid visa. Don't go walking in entitled thinking, well, I got a visa, so you have to let me in. No. that immigration officer could be in a bad mood and they have the authority to reject you.
Look, have at least if you don't want to do the 800,000 baht in the Thai bank, have the bank statements ready, showing that money is going into a Thai bank. Now, I've heard some cases that again, I'm mostly giving U.S. examples. 'Cause I'm American. I've heard some cases where immigration took some U.S. bank statements, 12 months worth. But again, it's up to the immigration official. Okay?
Apparently, also,
So,
a shocking fact, many retirees risk losing their visa due to failing to maintain the bank balance.
yeah, and again, the bank balance is funny. I've heard some say 2 months, some say three. So I'm just gonna be safe and say three. If you want to say I'm wrong in the comments later, okay, go ahead. I'm just going off my experience. I kept it in there for three, then after for three. Now, do I have a pension coming in, enough money to do it the other way? Yes. But the truth is, I just prefer keeping money there because it's easier for me. Now,
Okay.
but I understand people may not want to do it that way. That which is fine. But again, remember, it's at the discretion of immigration. Okay? The
All
best
right.
thing to do is have your paperwork handy, the 12 months of bank statements. Also, here's a little tip: be polite with immigration. Be polite.
Already told him. I already said it, Joe, but okay, you paraphrased.
I did, I know, but I'm just emphasizing it. You are
Yeah.
100% right, my friend. It's just I don't want to see anyone get deported or get into any trouble.
This is not a country you want to get trouble in. Um, by the way,
Dan, go
yes,
ahead.
I think, shall I tell them about the special and elite visas?
Yes, that's what I was heading towards next. You beat me to it. Go ahead.
No, I just read your mind, that's all.
All
Okay.
right.
There are long-term visas, which range from 5 to 20 years. They can be quite expensive.
Yes.
And if you want to stay in Thailand for 5 years on an elite visa, it'll cost at least, what is it, $20,000? I'm not sure exactly, but it's like $4,000 a year, maybe more. They increase by the year. But you also have the benefits are membership fees, VIP services, health insurance, and it's very easy to enter and exit. In fact, you get special deals like occasional limos, free limos to the airport, and nice hotels. But
With
there's
that elite visa, remember you still have to check in
Mhm.
with the elite visa yearly, and also I believe they will do the 90-day for you, but you still have to do it. So keep that in mind.
I heard they don't have the 90-day, but I don't have direct experience. Apparently,
Oh,
you.
okay. Maybe they changed that.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I do know. I do know this. If you're thinking about getting a job, you have to give up the elite visa. You're not allowed to work on an elite visa here in Thailand. In the past, it was something digital nomads have done. Um, for a long time, digital nomads lived off elite visas. Oh, they've increased now to 5 million baht, which is how much is 5 million baht? That's a lot of money.
Well, I'm reading this from Siam Legal here. So, say you want to get a gold membership. This is an entry level membership. It's like a starter package. The membership is a 5-year visa. It's 900,000 Thai baht, and that's the gold. Now, there's different levels here. You got your gold, and obviously, as they go up, they're more expensive. You have gold, platinum, diamond, and reserve membership. So in those, like I said, laws do change. Prices go up for the gold. Just for the gold, for the 5 year, for the gold is 900,000 baht. And I
Right.
just looked at that. I just looked at that right now off
They
Siam Legal.
Yeah, reserve is 5 million baht. Oh, by the way, something else. If one is thinking about getting permanent residency in Thailand or citizenship, as in dual citizenship in the future, getting an elite visa will not help. They do not count towards your time here in Thailand and what you've contributed. Otherwise, a lot more people would be doing.
Now, like I said, this visa, like you mentioned it earlier, there is perks that you mentioned. One of the biggest perks is entering the country. Very easy to exit and enter. And Dan, did you know, despite the high cost of this visa, the elite visa, since 2022, there's been a 30% increase in elite visa applications.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I am not surprised at all.
Well,
There's
Dan, this one's for you. And I have to say, I have to beat you to the punch here. I want you to tell us about this visa. This fits you, the Smart Visa.
All right, all right. From what I know about it, it's for people who have their own trade, highly skilled professionals, investors, and startup entrepreneurs. It's similar. It's a similar concept to work permit, but you're not working for anybody. You're doing it yourself. But you also have to show what your specialty is. And the application process coordination is with the Board of Investment and other agencies as well. You can work without a work permit, and there are family inclusions, but they're also very difficult to get. In fact, it's so exclusive that fewer than 500 people have been granted this since it started. I don't know how long ago it started, but at least 5 years.
Then we got the Digital Tourism Visa.
That's a new thing.
Yes, this was introduced this year, 2024. This visa here is aimed at attracting digital nomads and remote workers. So Dan, tell us about the eligibility and requirements for this one.
Well, proof of remote work, and I'm not really sure how that's done, but then sufficient income and health insurance. Okay, and there's also the application process, which is the online application, proof of work, and financial stability.
Did you know, Dan, that Thailand is one of the first countries in Southeast Asia to offer this specialized visa for digital nomads? And it's also a wave of the future. It's reflecting a growing group of people that work from home or work from their computer. It shows the growing the importance of remote work.
Right. And now it's a great alternative because you used to have to do the Smart Visa in order to legally work here. And you needed an elite. Forgive me. An elite visa is what was required if one was a digital nomad. But now with this new DTV, digital tourism visa, I think it's a great alternative, and I think a lot more digital nomads will be popping up here. It's much easier than the Smart Visa, but it's still a lengthy process, nonetheless.
Yes, it is. And of course, visa and extensions and conversions. So Dan, let's talk about an overview of visa extensions and conversion. So Dan, what about the process for extending visas in country at immigration offices?
Sometimes, let's say you have a tourism visa, which would normally go for 60 days. You could go pay a bit of a fee and get another if it was 60 days, you get an additional 30 days, so a total of 90 days. I mean, that's one idea, but that's the one I know best about extensions. I'm not so sure about non-B or retirement or the rest of them. And apparently I don't know if you can convert a tourist visa to a non-immigrant B or O visa, though. I'm not so sure about that.
And again, folks, like I said, we're not visa professionals. We're giving our experiences here. We're not legal experts. We're not lawyers or anything like that. We don't work for any visa-related companies. We don't even know if they're... Look, we're just telling you how the visas work to the best of our ability. And let's avoid some pitfalls. Keep track of your visa. Avoid overstaying, okay?
Oh, yeah. Because they'll fine you. Okay.
It's $500 by a day.
They'll do it by the day until it reaches about... What is it,
90.
20?
If you go over 90, you're in trouble, I believe. It's like a no-turn back zone. And once again, what we're telling you, folks, a lot of it depends on the Department of Immigration. Sometime maybe the officials will be in a good mood. Maybe they won't. Again, but the best thing to avoid that is stay in compliance.
Oh, one thing we neglected big time.
Go ahead.
What kind of visa you have? Make sure you have a multiple entry visa, because let's say you have a non-B or an edu visa or whatever, but it's a single entry, and you decide to go on a short holiday to a neighboring country to your home country. You come back, the visa's invalid now.
So you can get it on the way out of the airport. Right? For a lot of times, you can get a multi-entry stamp going out. But you're right. Don't forget to do that, though. That's very, very important.
It's essential. Important's an understatement. Oh, it's essential because multiple entry will help you a lot.
Yes. Look, Folks, again, we don't claim to be experts. We're just giving you our personal experience. And you know what? Share your personal experience with us. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, bang the notification button, pass this video out to your family, to your friends, and let them become part of the Blazer community. Dan?
All I can say beyond this is grab your independent mind and blaze.
Take care.